Hi, everyone, and welcome to Ticked Off, a series where we explore everything from chronic illness and healing to pet care, outdoor adventure, and wellness tips for living your best life. I'm Olivia Abrams, the founder of TickMit, and your host for the series. Whether we're chatting with veterinarians, wellness experts, or passionate outdoor enthusiasts, our goal is to give you actionable insights and real stories that inspire and empower you. So let's dive in and meet today's guest. Today, we're joined by Isabel Smith, a functional registered dietitian, Lyme warrior, and gut health expert who helps people heal from chronic illness by addressing the root cause. With a focus on gut health, mold toxicity, and inflammation, Isabel empowers her clients to reclaim their wellness through personalized nutrition and lifestyle strategies. Thank you so much for being here.
So fun. Thanks for including me. This is obviously a topic I would love to chime in on in every direction. So
Yeah, Isabel knows everything about nutrition, and because she's a Lyme warrior, she gets it firsthand. So I'm so happy you're here. The first question I would love to ask are what are the most common signs that your gut health needs attention?
this is a great question because there are obvious signs. And then to me, there are obvious signs, but to people in those bodies may not be so obvious, right?
Mhm.
So let's start with the obvious ones. The obvious ones are like not pooping as well, more bloated. I'm gassy and I wasn't usually. My poop is stinky. I'm finding that I'm like not tolerating foods that I used to. All
Mhm.
that stuff like feels pretty obvious, right? Okay. The not obvious ones. I'm getting sick more often. I've just been diagnosed with an autoimmune disease, right? I have Lyme disease, right? I have other like kind of like chronic stuff popping up that doesn't feel like it's my gut. Hint, hint, you might want to address your gut.
Mhm. Okay.
So obvious and not obvious. Personally, I fall on the not obvious side, right? My gut, I've had every problem under the sun. My gut really hasn't been a problem, knock on wood. However, I know my gut is the root cause of a lot of my problems.
Yeah. And how can someone start their journey towards better healing their gut, especially if like they don't necessarily have the money to go to a nutritionist? Just some easy steps
Yeah.
to kind of see where they're at and evaluate from there.
So here's some like simple things that everybody should be doing. Filtering your water, whether it's a Brita or like a, other type of pitcher. There's a lot of chemicals, toxins, pesticide stuff coming in through our water. Super damaging to the gut lining, can really upset the immune system and over time be a real problem for the gut overall. Number one. Number two, throw out your Teflon, like be thoughtful about the plastics and other things that you're using, can linings, how much carbonated beverage are you drinking? That all has a plastic liner, and who the heck knows what water is in that can.
Right.
Thankfully, there's a lot of articles these days about like which ones to choose and which ones not to. So you can easily just Google that, and there's some great, like I think I saw one on, I don't even want to say who it was. It was like one of those great sites that like brings everything together and you're like, this is so easy. Drink this, not that. Um,
Mhm.
Reducing chemical exposure can be huge. Of course, we want to eat more vegetables. I don't care whether they're canned, whether they're frozen, whether they're fresh. Try to get like where you can organic, but like just eating them will be better than not eating them. That helps to feed the good bacteria, right? Veggie juicing is my favorite thing ever because we can get like this many veggies into this much volume. All of this kind of stuff starts to reduce, our exposure to chemicals and other garbage, which really, really can impact both the microbiome, us hormonally, which impacts the microbiome, as well as the lining of the gut. And then also, thinking about what we're feeding ourselves, cutting down on alcohol, watching your sugar, all of that kind of stuff can really make a difference. Keeping a
Mhm.
food journal, what doesn't feel good, what does feel good, that can really be impactful too.
Yeah. And something that you touched on that I think is becoming a little bit more common knowledge, but something a lot of people are still learning is how much our gut and our microbiome affects our hormones and thus our mood. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Uh, Look, the gut and the gut microbiome influence almost every function in your body, from inflammation to your mood, to your weight, to diabetes, to cholesterol, stroke risk, and almost every part of your body is influenced by the bugs that live in your gut.
Mhm.
We have like something like 10 pounds. It's probably like some rando fact that like may have been fact checked, but some large amount of bacteria sitting in the gut.
Wow.
And either the bugs in our gut are like healthy or they're not healthy,
Hmm.
right? And they are incredibly informative. They communicate with each other and they communicate with your body overall. And they inform your body to do certain things like make hormones, like make serotonin, melatonin, right? Dopamine. There are more chemical receptors for neurochemicals in the gut than anywhere else in the body. That nervous tummy is actually a thing. Some people are more sensitive to it than others, right? And when we think about just hormones in general, female hormones, male hormones, sex hormones, whatever, wherever you are on the spectrum, um, some of the bacteria in our gut also are greatly involved with both producing those hormones and also detoxifying them and breaking them down. So the gut just often feels like a thing that we put food in and then it comes out the other end, but there's so much happening there.
I know that a lot of the people who are listening and follow our page are dealing with tick-borne diseases, especially Lyme disease. And as a Lyme warrior yourself, I'm sure you know what is something like why do we think that Lyme disease patients struggle so much with food sensitivities and gut issues? Because everyone's like, oh, you have Lyme, you have a bullseye rash, or you have inflammation, or a host of other things. But I feel like gut and food sensitivities are something that we neglect talking about a lot in our community.
Yeah, our bodies are made to be resilient and tolerant, right? Like we are meant to be tolerant beings, which means we're meant to tolerate, foods and different types of foods. And then when you add something like Lyme, and often there's like not one bug, but like maybe multiples, the immune system becomes a little cranky, maybe a little less tolerant. It starts surveying things you're doing. Maybe it becomes, a little hyperreactive, which can include that food that you ate. Now, remember, based on where you live in the world and where you're watching from, will determine how much garbage is in your food that is extra to what you think is in your food, chemicals, pesticides, etc. And like here in the US, we have the gluten is way different than it is in Europe, and how all these things interface with the immune system and how the immune system accepts, tolerates, or doesn't has a lot to do with how people respond to their food. And that can be, for me, it was anaphylaxis. I was carrying around an EpiPen all of a sudden at age 30. Thankfully, everything's well and good in that direction. And some people end up with like more bloating, gas sort of stuff. It just depends on how your body sort of wants to handle it.
And as like a practicing nutritionist, are you seeing a lot more people who are coming into your practice either with alpha-gal or potentially with an undiagnosed alpha-gal condition?
Not really, to be honest. Not
Mhm.
really. Although I will say to you, I think there is a spectrum with which alpha-gal exists. And I believe that what we thought as practitioners, which was like anaphylaxis to, cow, right? Bovine
Mhm.
products, isn't always really what it is.
Yeah.
I did not have alpha-gal, and my anaphylaxis was to like mostly histaminergic peanuts, tree nuts, moldy foods. For a while, I couldn't even be in a room with an open jar of peanut butter, which is wild. It was really that bad. But all my numbers were perfect on blood work. So I had all these doctors being like, "What?" And I'm like, "You want to just open the peanut butter jar and we can see how I can practice using my EpiPen." Um, but from a perspective of alpha-gal, I don't feel like it never is as clear cut as it is or it isn't, right? Like this person is a cookie cutter. It's like the bullseye. Oh, if I don't have the bullseye, I don't have Lyme. Well, I've never seen a tick on me and I've had like so many of these different bugs. But I can't say to you that I've seen more alpha-gal. I actually see more classic like Borrelia. I see a lot of Babesia and a
Mhm.
fair amount of Bart.
Okay. And between those three different Lyme disease, tick-borne diseases that you're seeing within your practice, is there concrete differences in how their gut is affected?
Not really, because
It's
here's the
all
thing.
very
For
similar.
the majority of it is like Lyme or any of these tick-borne, bug-borne, issues are one of many things that are in the body.
Hmm.
And what I will say is that often, like I don't do primary Lyme treatment, right? I send out for that.
Of
But
course.
we'll often do like, and by primary, I mean like that's the primary problem. Somebody needs antibiotics stat. We will do, or other stuff. We will do Lyme supportive or like secondary Lyme, right?
Mhm.
Um, and I will tell you that often when we do handle the rest of the pile of garbage that's sitting there, whether it be toxicity, parasites, gut issues, dysbiosis, viral stuff, the Lyme tends to behave, Lyme or whomever it is, tends to behave better than it had previously.
Mhm.
So often we're seeing the Lyme kind of like, or the bark bob, quiet down once the rest of the family of problems has been addressed. And that's
And
pretty
that
cool.
has to do with, things that are causing your body to flare. And so why I think there's so much
Yeah,
joint conversation around Lyme disease and other tick-borne diseases, but also with mold toxicity, other chemical issues that are causing this imbalance and causing your Lyme symptoms to get worse.
correct. Yeah, I mean, I can speak for my own personal journey. I did not I ran through everything I could do, parasite this, that, the other thing. And then like I really needed the 2 years of all the work that I did, mostly like pulsing antibiotics, herbs, etc. Um, but I was in a lot better shape than I had been prior to, and probably tolerated all the treatments I did better because of the work I did before it.
Mhm.
So, um, as always, the immune system, like we wanted to tolerate these, bugs. And often it's just kind of taking some weight off of the immune system and helping it be more resilient, be more tolerant. And in the process, people can also find that their food sensitivities become better as well, actually.
Right. And when you have someone who's kind of going through the process of trying to clear out all of these things at
Mhm.
once or in an order, of course, when it comes to tick-borne diseases, one of the standard forms of treatment is antibiotics, which can have a negative impact on your gut. So, what do you recommend in terms of herbs or nutrients or any kinds of supplements to someone who's on antibiotics?
I would highly recommend making sure you're working with somebody alongside. Either hopefully your practitioner is like dialed in on this. I literally was taking 10 probiotics a day when I was going through I did 2 years of antibiotics on and off, different things, pulsing, different bugs, different focuses. And I literally took 4 to 5 different types of probiotics twice a day. And my gut was like totally happy and fine, right? That worked for me. That was my journey. That's not everybody's journey, right? But I would really recommend you work with somebody and make sure that the strains you're taking are the right ones and that like it's all tailored for you. Because the antibiotics, if you support them properly, usually it's all good. It's when people don't support them properly because they're not informed or they're not told to or what have you that it can really make a mess.
Right. Right.
And antibiotics aren't the enemy. They're actually extremely effective in the land of Lyme. If done properly, Lyme and bugs, if done properly and if done by somebody who really knows what they're doing.
hmm Yeah. And that's the whole purpose is we have so many different tools to help ourselves heal, but not knowing the correct way to get them to work together in conjunction is when we're not seeing results. So it's important
Totally.
to understand all of those pieces at once.
Yeah. Yeah. And I will say, like, I see a lot of people come like in the practice who are just in this like cycle of like herxing, really never getting anywhere,
hmm
right? You should be getting somewhere if you're in a journey of herxing, like, okay, maybe there's some herxing, but like you should be able to like climb the mountain. If you're not, you really should be communicating with your practitioner that something needs to be adjusted because you should be improving, basically.
Yeah. Are there any wellness trends that you're seeing right now that you don't agree with and think actually do more harm than good when it comes to your gut or just your health overall?
It's a good question. I feel like, I think we have this very idealistic perspective over like what we should be doing. And I think the internet can be a really scary place for trying to figure out what one should be doing. I also think there's a lot of like influencers and people on there sharing their journey, and everybody's journey is really different. And, the nervous system is one of the most affected parts in any kind of, tick or bug-borne experience. Stressing yourself out over like trying to be like the most perfect, like I do this and I'm on this regimen and I'm like, that is actually way more dangerous than giving yourself a break. Waking up today, for me, the biggest journey of all of it was being like, let me just wake up tomorrow and see, do I have the energy to exercise? Like, do I feel like sitting in the sauna? Do I right? How much sauna is too much? Because there is an amount that becomes too much, right? We want to like not push, 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 push. And whatever treatment you're doing, if you're in the middle of a treatment or you're post-treatment and you're trying to get it to stick and help your immune system, you want to actually kind of like take your foot off the pedal and get more sleep. That is the most important trend out there. If somebody's talking about the importance of that, it's so not sexy, but it is the most important thing you can do for your immune system. Not pushing too hard. I think there's this like castor oil pack thing that's going on TikTok right now. I sleep with my castor oil pack and I love castor oil packs, but like I don't think people need to be sleeping in them, honestly. I think we can like do like 30, 40 minutes a day, maybe with or without the heating pad and like still enjoy the benefits of it. I think the extremes are really dangerous for people going through any kind of treatment like this or going through, even if it's not bug related, but some major journey. The extremes are really dangerous.
Yeah, and I think that kind of like the overconsumption we have of
Yeah.
social media in general is kind of leading to an overconsumption of lifestyle trends or things we should be doing to improve our health. And like you say, too much is dangerous.
It's really bad. Like, for me and my journey, I have not been into a hot yoga studio in 6 or 7 years because that is really can be really stimulating for somebody who's got babesia.
Mhm.
And I haven't been back. I have a little PTSD because I used to feel so horrible. And I used to just like push myself to do it because I thought it was good for me. And then I was like, I always feel terrible when I do this. You know, I think to like be a wellness girly and also go through Lyme, you kind of have to break up with the wellness girly and like be like,
Mhm.
the girl of your own or the
You
guy
have to
of your
be a, I'm
own.
a surviving girly.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just like kind of going through my day, and I still practice that post. I've been almost a year post antibiotics and doing really well. And not every day is perfect, but like, I yesterday woke up exhausted and I like played with my dogs for an hour and then, started my day and that was great. And less is more. So is there like a trend? I just feel like there's a lot of extremism going on out in the world of the interwebs. And I feel like take your foot off the gas, assess like what works for you, keep a journal. Everybody going through a process like this should be keeping a log of anything that makes you feel anything except for, well, actually anything that makes you feel anything, positive, negative, because I guarantee you will have no recollection of any of it at some point. And it's really helpful to be able to go back and recognize patterns and things that felt good. And I have a journal that's gone back from 2018. It's really helpful to kind of go back through it. And it's a journey of relearning yourself, breaking up with the like, I should be doing this, or I could be doing this, or, oh my gosh, there's all these supplements that are so good for people and like, great, but they may not be good for you.
Before we sign off, one thing we like to ask every guest is what's one thing that ticks you off? Big, small, rational, irrational, let everyone know.
Perfectionism. I'm not a perfectionist. I never have been. I'm like a make it happener.
Hmm.
And I think it's like such a boring answer, but at the same time, I think it's really important because I think perfectionism creates more problems, especially for those going through anything that, is hard. And I think the more we lean into trying to slow down, learn ourselves, the more powerful it is. There aren't a lot of things in the world that tick me off, except when people try to push themselves too hard because they feel like they need to or they should, or, we all tend to be overachievers in the land of Lyme warriorship. And I think that there are ways to take the pressure off, right? Maybe you're not getting up at 6 a.m. and like doing the like CEO thing if you run a business and like having a journal and all this stuff. Ease into your day, right? Like maybe your day's intense. Like it ticks me off, I'll say, when like people don't, and this is like, part of the journey, but to slow down and allow yourself the opportunity to like enjoy the journey because the journey is long with Lyme and you can really learn a lot about yourself and your being and the body that we live in and and actually come out the other side becoming an experience that you can at least learn from so you can continue to move forward. So yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
that's
definitely. I
my
just keep
answer.
thinking about like Miley Cyrus's It's the Climb. Like you're
Yes.
not trying to get to the top, you're just trying to make it through every single day.
And how, I ask myself this a lot, like, how can I enjoy this more? Which is a hard question to ask when you're going through it. But I think there's always a way, right? It's like, well, I'm feeling like garbage today and I'm in whatever I'm in. How can I enjoy this more? I can like, give myself 10 minutes of like putting my feet up and chilling out and petting my dog instead of going out and taking a walk because I don't feel like I have the energy today. That's
Yeah.
going to help me, right? Take things off my plate and help me really lean into enjoying time is precious. We don't have a ton of it. So I think if we can try and enjoy the journey a little more and connect with people who there's a lot of us out there who are Lyme warriors, and it's a really wonderful community of incredible people who've been through it and who are going through it. And I think connecting with people can really help. So thank you for having me on to connect.
Thank you so much for
Um,
being here. I love that so much, and I think that's a great way to end.
yeah,
And I thank you to everyone for tuning in. And
yeah.
don't forget to follow TickMit for more insights, stories, and tips. And until next time, take care and check yourself.